I started to cheat on my wife, who's 38, but stopped halfway through. Do I still tell her?
What?
Well,
Does that mean
I stopped halfway through. I only did a little.
halfway through?
yeah,
I
it doesn't
only did a
count.
little cheating.
Right.
My wife and I have a great relationship.
And freeze.
My wife and I have a great relationship. I can't say I have any real complaints. We have been together for 5 years, married for 2 of those, and up until now, I would have said I would never stray. I was away for work last week, and while I was in the hotel, a young woman, 21, sat next to me and began to flirt with me. I was extremely flattered by the attention. I have to admit, it was a real ego boost to be flirted with by someone so young, as I've started to get that middle-aged dad bod and have been feeling like I'm losing my looks a bit. After a bit of talking, the woman invited herself back up to my hotel room where we began to have sex. For me, it was all about the thrill of being desired by someone other than my wife, especially by a very young woman. I was slightly drunk, and I figured I'll probably never get the opportunity to sleep with a 21-year-old again.
Ew.
But the thrill wore off very quickly as I realized that I wasn't enjoying myself. This girl was not good in bed. She basically just laid there and starfished. Sometimes she would pull herself into what she thought was a sexy pose, but that was it. She didn't seem interested in me at all. I might as well have been a human dildo because she seemed more interested in herself and how sexy she thought she was. Sex with my wife has always been amazing. When I'm with my wife, she's all over me, talking to me and telling me how hot I am, grabbing me, touching me, getting on top, and so on. I feel like the hottest guy in the world when I'm in bed with my wife. With this girl, I felt like I could leave the room and she might not even notice, let alone care. She seemed like she just wanted the ego boost of a guy finding her attractive. I couldn't stay aroused, and I stopped about 10 minutes into it and asked her to leave, which she did. I took a shower and then called my wife to hear her voice. Now I'm back home, and so far I haven't told my wife about any of it. There's a guilty part of me that says I should because she deserves to know, but another part of me says, why should I torpedo our happy marriage and cause her pain for something that I didn't even enjoy and will never do again? All it did was prove to me that I want my wife more than anyone else. I want to do the right thing, but I genuinely don't know what the right thing to do is here. I know that I will never, ever stray again. Should I tell her or keep it to myself?
Okay, you already torpedoed. You already torpedoed by doing this. Also, she invited herself up to your room. I believe you invited her to your room.
Yep.
Sir.
Too late. It's already done.
I'm going up to your hotel room. I don't know how I'm going to feel about this.
Right.
I hope I say okay to that.
And he's also framing this being like, well, I stopped halfway. And it's like, not because you were guilty, but because she was bad.
Yeah.
Right.
She was bad in bed, so you stopped, and then you were like, wait.
I guess sex with my wife's pretty cool.
Which all the wonderful things you're listing about your wife is not gonna make anybody feel bad for you, King. Like, I am sure these comments are tearing him a new one, being like, you fumbled, you lost your wife, you had it. And it's your fault for not recognizing that. You don't have to go have sex with somebody else to be like, oh my God, wait, I love my wife.
So true.
Wait a minute.
I cannot believe this man wrote those words. Like, that's baffling.
Unbelievable.
Halfway through, he's there. He's just like, I understand now.
It all makes sense.
Halfway through, he's got a 20-minute time limit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God.
He literally knew. It was like, that was exactly
It was halfway. He's like, and I think I'm done.
It's quite clear.
No,
what
it was
advice
also
is.
not halfway. That was
10 minutes, you're involved.
That was
halfway
all
would be like,
in.
I took my shirt off, and then you're like, I don't know.
I was gonna say, like, I thought it could have maybe just ended with the flirtation downstairs of like being in the hotel room and she was flirting and him being like, oh, well, yeah, you know, you're attractive too. I'm interested, like, whatever.
Yeah.
And then being like, wait, what am I doing? I'm married. And
Right.
stopping there, which even in that case is wrong. Like, that is a whole nother case of emotional cheating. But he literally went upstairs and started having sex with her.
Right.
Like, there's no halfway.
The second he's engaging with her in any sort of real way, but especially the second that they are walking to the hotel room is, for me, it almost doesn't matter past that.
Right.
That's the
decided.
decision
was made.
that you made.
Yep.
And he could have stopped it there. And it still is like, you need to absolutely have a massive conversation with your wife.
Right.
And it probably is going to be severe and suck. He's talking about it like, oh, why be honest with her? That'll torpedo. It's like, you torpedoed it.
You already
It's
torpedoed
too
it.
late.
You already torpedoed it.
Right.
It's going to be, I think it's going to be, there is less of a chance if you don't talk to her. I can't say it would be for this situation, but in the limited knowledge that I have on the research and stuff, is that what tends to happen when someone cheats, and it's especially with affairs, but it's like, it actually weirdly causes resentment in the cheater. Because like their partner doesn't know, and it creates this disconnect for them, and it's this rift that's gonna grow between the two of you. It's impossible to really move on from and be in any sort of real relationship.
No.
It's so disrespectful to her. How he's even contemplating not telling her
Is another sign.
Is a whole other thing.
Yeah.
This is awful.
That guilt is going to grow inside of him like a little gross little tumor thing.
Or the lack, or it will be that issue where and it's this weird thing, I'm going to butcher this, but in psychology, doing a bad thing can actually make you worse because your brain then has to justify it.
Right.
So then your brain morphs to, that was okay for me to do. And now that's where you're at. And it's like, these things grow in ourselves. It's why you kind of have to, you do have to acknowledge and treat things in your own head to mend it, almost like it is a wound that's inside of your own self, like a moral wound. And you kind of have to be like, wait, that's wrong. I have to acknowledge that and work on that.
Right.
I think it's clear to say that this guy is only thinking about himself, not just in the cheating on his wife, but that he considers sex like incomplete or not full the way because he didn't finish.
Right.
Right. So then it's not...
It's entirely an act for himself.
Right.
A lot of bad signs here.
Yeah.
Let's see what these comments say.
Oh, I'm excited.
This will help.
It sounds like you only regret having sex with this other woman because she was bad in bed. If this 21-year-old was incredible in bed and better than your wife in bed, would you have stopped in the middle? Someone else said, you didn't start to cheat, you cheated. Hard stop. You worded it this way to make yourself not sound bad. Let me say it again, you cheated. Don't forget that you said you didn't enjoy it because you felt she wasn't that into it. Would you have felt bad and still stopped if you thought she was great in bed? Again, you cheated. Lastly, someone said, you didn't stop because you felt bad for cheating on your wife. You stopped because you were disappointed in the sex. I think that says a lot. If she had been good in bed, you likely would have done it with no second thought. You didn't start to cheat on your wife. You cheated on your wife. She deserves to know. Don't act like you're doing her a favor by not causing her pain. Tell her you're delusional.
Incredible.
Yep. 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. Now that's the Reddit therapist.
Yes. All of them.
Update.
No!
Oh, I forgot that those exist. I can't wait.
Oh my God.
Here we go. I really took a beating from Reddit when I made my first post, so maybe some of you will be happy to read this update, maybe not. I was still not sure whether to tell my wife what happened or not after making the post. This is not because I'm selfish, like some of you said, but because I was struggling to find the logic in telling her something that would hurt her when she didn't need to know because it was never going to happen again. But I did also take on board what others said about how if it was them, they would want to know, and to some point I agreed with them about that. It didn't end up mattering because my wife realized something was up a few days after I got back from my work trip. As
it goes.
Yeah. This guy doesn't exactly scream
The people
sly.
who believe that they're going to get away with shit, you are either being able to get away with it, I think is worse.
Insane.
Then you're even more...
What does it say about you?
Right.
Or two, you're not going to get away with it.
No.
Right. This guy needs to be bonked in the head with a certain kind of baguette.
Right.
My wife realized something was up after a few days after I got back from my work trip. She brought up how I'd been very quiet and seemed off ever since getting back, and she looked and sounded so worried about me that I decided in the moment to tell her. I didn't want us to have any secrets from each other. I told her everything. She didn't believe me at first. She believed I'd started to sleep with the other woman, but not that I had stopped or that the sex was bad. I showed her the Reddit post I made so she could see I wasn't just spinning her a flattering story to try and get off the hook. She started to cry while reading it and then said the sentence that has been going around and around my head 24/7 since then. I loved you so much. Loved, past tense. I asked if she could really just fall out of love so quickly, and she said yes. In the space of a few minutes, I had gone from the love of her life and the man she wanted to grow old with to just another sad man having a midlife crisis. We talked for most of the night, but she wouldn't budge. She turned down my offer of marriage counseling or counseling for just myself. I suggested we take a short week's break so she can think about things, but her mind is made up. We are filing for divorce, and in the meantime, I am sleeping in our spare room so she can remain in our marital bed. This is not how I wanted any of this to go. She is without a doubt the woman I love and the woman I will always love. And if I could go back in time, I would lock myself in my hotel room for the entire work trip and only come out for the conference. I hold hope that she might one day change her mind all the same. Our connection is too strong to be destroyed by 30 minutes of poor decision making.
It's a little more than
It's a little more than that.
It's not ordering a steak too rare. Oh God, that was so stupid.
No, I liked it. I don't want to, but like, it feels like this could perhaps just genuinely be like somebody who is actually, again, just very unaware, who is, again, just like, just stupid. Just like somebody who maybe doesn't understand relationship dynamics or commitment. Like, I'm not saying that denies any of everything we've said, and I think that the wife is completely in the right. But like, I mean, even the ridiculousness of him being like, no, honey, look, I made it public and showed everybody.
I know.
And
That's
told
crazy.
everybody. Like, that's...
And she was like, you're on Reddit?
Right.
I don't love you anymore because of that.
And it's,
You're a
again, it's
Redditor.
just like, okay, so there has to be something where he's just actually not getting that.
Which doesn't help in his promise that he's never going to do this again.
Totally.
Right.
Totally.
I hear what you're saying, and the tough thing is that this is a post written by him.
Yeah.
And it's tough to know because he's in the after phase of having done this. In the phase where I think he is trying to justify it to us as much as he is his wife. So it makes me question the legitimacy of all these things.
Right, yeah.
What actually did happen between him and this woman, and then the hotel room. It's hard to know. And the problem is his wife is now in a situation of like, I thought I knew you and I don't.
Yeah.
And that's really tough. And some people I think immediately know like, oh, I know myself enough that I'm this is done.
Yeah, there's no redeeming.
She thought she was married to someone who would never do this to her. And she found out, oh, I actually don't know you because that's who I thought you were. And now it's not the case.
So tragic.
Yeah. It's one of those areas where like cheating is such a weird sphere where it's like you're not a murderer,
right?
But as far as a relationship goes, like
you've murdered the relationship.
Like it's as bad as it can get before becoming full-on crime territory.
Yeah.
To me, it's one of those situations where I'm like, this is the commitment part of it. Where, in our life we fluctuate, we do all sorts of things, we make mistakes, whatever. But I think it's a situation to me where I'm like, this is an easy promise to make to someone and to hold of just like, look, man, this is a hardline thing, just don't do this. And I think the problem is, they're 40. I wonder how long they've been married. It could be many years. It could be they've been married for 15 years. So they made that promise 15 years ago, and they go, yeah, for sure, we're never going to.
I think it was 5.
Is it 5
years? Was that a different story? Maybe I'm remembering.
Have they been married for about 5 years? For 5 years. They've been married for 5 years.
Yeah.
And I don't know how long they've been together, but, I think some people, they get into some situations where they go, well, I'm in a situation where I've been feeling bad about myself, and we haven't been talking, whatever. And they justify it. And to me, I'm just like, it's one of those where it's like, it's just make it a rule for yourself.
Absolutely.
Because it will destroy it. No matter what, it's gonna be a bad outcome. Just no matter how right it might feel in the moment, just say no.
Right.
And it's important, I think, too, to establish that for yourself, right? Like,
Absolutely.
Where is it in terms of your value? How much could you potentially forgive a partner if that happened to you?
Yeah.
And this woman seems pretty clear in at least following her heart in the moment of being like, I know how I feel now.
Yeah.
It's such an interesting thing, you're right, and it's such a case-by-case basis because I know, like, a lot of the times, too, in situations, like, substances can get involved, too.
Right.
And that is often an excuse of like, oh, my thinking was impaired. And it's like,
such
well,
a shitty excuse, though.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, but yeah, I agree. I don't think I would accept that. But like in this situation, it's like the hardest that you could make this is like, he realizes it right away. He does go and tell his wife. He fully apologizes and is like, I don't know what I was thinking and I was out of my mind. And then it's like, wow, what do I do?
Right.
It really is just like an individual thing that you have to self-reflect and understand where you feel on it. And sometimes you don't understand until it happens to you, which is heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It's a good thing that she, got out of that because he clearly is very much creating a narrative for himself that, I feel like she doesn't know him anymore. So I'm glad she's free of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To have someone tell you that they cheated on you and try to follow it up with any sort of excuse or justification, I think it would have been over either way, but it makes me wonder, had he not followed it up with all the excuses and justification, if it would have been different at all. Probably not. But it's certainly not what you want to hear.
No.
Right.
This is such an unreliable narrator
Absolutely.
right now.
Made me want to choke up.
My inclination, based on the wife's reaction, I think this is all many degrees worse than what we're getting.
Absolutely.
Next story. This is from Relationship Advice.
We got this.
We got this.
So good.
This is a 26-year-old woman. I left trip early because my boyfriend, who's 28, and his friends embarrassed me to tears.
Oh.
Okay, strap in because this is the most bizarre and embarrassing thing that has ever happened to me. Throwaway account, first-time poster, etc. So I went on a ski trip with my boyfriend and his friends. It's their annual trip and the first time I went. We've been together for 2 years. The group that goes is him and 5 of his friends, 4 guys and 1 girl, all late 20s. I've met 2 of the guys before, but the other 2 and the girl I've only met briefly over FaceTime. They knew I was coming on the trip, so they VRBO this house about 10 minutes from the ski resort.
Oh my God.
We are a few days in for this weekly trip and everything is fine. The only problem has been the bathroom doors don't seem to lock. Important for later. There had been some near embarrassing moments, but nothing major. Until day 4 of 7. I'm not a huge drinker, especially around people I don't know well. I wanted to just nurse a drink while we all talked and they drank. We haven't been eating the best and have pizza before this. My stomach was bothering me, so I excused myself to the bathroom on the main floor. I should have gone in the one upstairs, but you know what they say about hindsight. So I'm on the toilet, obviously taking a poop, when the doorknob starts to move. I am in here, but his female friend comes in anyway. I don't know if it is because it was me or she was too drunk to hear or care. She honestly smells what's going on and makes a big ruckus to the rest of the group that I'm pooping. I told her to please get out as calmly as I could because I was starting to get very upset. She was making a big deal over a normal bodily process. So she goes to leave the bathroom but basically throws open the bathroom door to do so. 3 of the 4 guys are there in the hallway and she's exposed me to them. Now I'm very upset and mortified. I yelled at her to get out and to shut the door behind her. They all are standing in the doorway and not listening to me. My boyfriend notices what is going on and comes into the bathroom. I think he's going to yell at his friends, but instead, the drunk asshole comments on how bad it smells in the bathroom. He leaves but doesn't take his friends with him. They continue to point and laugh while I'm in a vulnerable state. I think they were making potty jokes, all while I'm sat on the toilet, pants at my ankles, keeping my knees locked shut. I start screaming at this point to get the out of the bathroom and shut the door over and over. I am actually crying at this point because I'm so mortified and I've never been in such a bizarre situation. My crying and screaming finally got the drunkard's attention. She shuts the door behind her. Now I'm breaking down in the bathroom. I'm still crying and trying to get sorted so I can be done and wash my hands and get the hell out of this room. While washing my hands, all I can think is that my boyfriend didn't help at all. I know they're drunk, but I don't think that's much of an excuse. They've just been drinking beer and I think he'd had 4 so far. I'm absolutely mortified and decide to just go into the bedroom. However, when I come out of the bathroom, still crying a bit, by the way, all 6 of them start howling with laughter and pointing at me. It's like one of those crazy nightmares where everything seems more dramatic than real life should be. I just look at my boyfriend, meet his eyes and everything to show how upset I am, and they don't stop. I go upstairs to our room and pack. I can't go 3 more days with these people, and I don't want to sleep in the same bed as my drunk boyfriend. Drunk or not, they're being incredibly disrespectful and childish. I don't think I've ever been so embarrassed. I finish packing, change my flight to the next morning, and order an Uber to go to the airport hotel. I gather all of my things and walk downstairs to get my coat and leave. They all start laughing when I come back in the room, but boyfriend finally notices I have bags with me. I silently put my coat on. Boyfriend yells, "Where the f*** are you going?" "Airport," is all I say. Now he is yelling and they're all yelling, saying it was just in good fun and I should lighten up, have another beer, etc. No one apologizes, not even boyfriend. He just seems so mad that I'm leaving. I tell him I'll see him in a few days and walk out to my Uber. Once I'm finally in my hotel room later, I curl up in bed and cry. I definitely did not see this being the way my trip ended. Once I flew home the next morning and got back to my apartment, I had so many texts, missed calls, and voicemails from my boyfriend. They ranged from apologetic to angry to accusing, as if I did something wrong by going to the freaking bathroom. I haven't responded yet, and he comes home in 2 days. I haven't even read all of the texts because it got more upset. How the am I supposed to face these people again? It just seems like the most bizarre and surreal experience. I think I'm more upset that my boyfriend did nothing, even when I was screaming and crying. He didn't stop me from leaving. He didn't follow me out. He just yelled at me and asked me where the I was going. How could he not make sure I'm okay? Even now, I was upset enough to leave, and his texts that I did read are not supportive. No apology. Basically, I put a damper on the trip. I'm dramatic. It wasn't that bad, but I made a terrible impression with his friends. What about their impression of me? Because I'm having some pretty strong thoughts. Right now, I still have a boyfriend. That might be changing in a few days. I love him, but I do not like his reaction to all this. Why the am I getting blamed? I did not receive this type of deal breaker. What the
I mean, like, it's so funny because, like, I was thinking, and then she said it, like, this feels like one of those, like, nightmares.
Yes.
A legit, like,
I feel
she's
like
pooping, everyone look, and everyone's like, ha, ha, ha.
This truly sounds like the logic of like a sketch that we would write.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh yeah, this is so insane, this would never happen in real life.
It's so bizarre. Like, and also, you know, when she was like, well, I love my boyfriend, I'm like, you've never met your boyfriend because that was your boyfriend. When you've had a few drinks and you're laughing along with your friends, like, that's your boyfriend right there. And I just, how could you ever get that trust back?
I do almost see a version where this could have been a funny moment for everybody, but she made it very clear that it wasn't.
Right.
And they didn't apologize. And I think it's one of those, like, it's almost like one of those, like, mob mentality moments. Like, when, like, everybody gets on board with something, it's, like, hard to, like, shift that sort of, like, thinking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, like, I mean, she has every right to be angry. And, like, I think the boyfriend at this point is probably embarrassed. Like, it's clear that he's, like, thinking more about himself of, like, how does this look for me, because now my girlfriend seems ridiculous and crazy. But it's like, yeah, she had every right to feel embarrassed. She was exposed.
That's the thing,
to a
like,
group
exposed
of
to a bunch of people, like, involuntarily. Like,
Yeah.
that's a huge violation.
Yeah, the girl like enabled it.
So, like, yeah, which is absolutely so rough. And on top of that, like, to have the boyfriend use the specific phrasing of, like, where the are you going? That is such that is violent language to use against someone like that. And I don't care if someone is making direct eye contact with you and making lava plops in the middle of the floor. Like, if they're like, I need help, you're just like, got it. Like, there needs to be a point of, like, there's no more joking. Like, when you're being tickled and you're about to throw up, you need to be like, stop. And eventually someone gets it. Like,
right.
Wow.
And he's known her for 2 years. He's been in a relationship with her for 2 years. He should know her comfort levels on things. Like, you know, they're not on the set of Jackass. Like, this is real life, and he should know that with people that she's just met for the first time, especially, like, this is not okay at all. She's making it very apparent.
Yeah, I don't see this as something that, like, it's like, oh, you need to dump him. But I think this is a very big learning opportunity for this guy. And
I
the
think you need to
friends.
dump him.
We got a bunch of comments here. Someone said, F that guy. The fact that he wasn't furious with his asshole buddies invading your privacy shows his character. You weren't his girlfriend that night. You were their entertainment. Dump his ass and never look back. He obviously does not respect you. Someone else said, you know this relationship is over. He didn't have your back. Someone else said, okay, so I went through a similar situation, minus the poop, with my ex at his brother's birthday. It was a nightmare. Everyone else was making fun of me and getting f***ed up, and I was in the middle of nowhere, stuck with these people, and my boyfriend would only come to check on me, to tear down more and yell at me, which meant I would hide more and cry, which would piss him off more. Repeat for 3 days as I had no way home. It won't get better. I don't know why I thought it might or why I didn't care more, but that relationship almost ruined me. Your partner should have your back. Otherwise, what's the point? Yeah. Do what I wasn't brave enough to do and forget this guy. I do agree. This is like, it was just such a prolonged amount of him not caring about her, like so long, and like even the days of all the texts and stuff not apologizing. It's like, you've had time to think about this, you know. But
but I don't think he has. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's still with those people that are enabling that thinking.
But that would scare me. That would scare me to be with someone who I'd be like, oh, if you're influenced by the right people, you could fuck me up. Like,
for sure. Yeah, for sure.
So, but wait,
I was just gonna say also, like, you know, if he has been with her for 2 years and he hasn't, like, say for instance, let's give him the benefit of the doubt and he's like, I really didn't know she was mad. Like, that is a colossal problem, because after 2 years, you should know your partner's comfort level. You should know, you know, when they're joking around and when they're being like, I need your help.
Yeah.
Uh,
And if you're still after 2 years being like, huh, like, that's not even a matter of like not having her back. Like, that is antagonistic. That is a problem. It's scary.
And at like 28. I don't know, man.
They're 28?
He's 28.
That's a man child. Get him out of there.
It is scary.
Push him into the pit.
So there is an update.
All right.
So
let's
see.
go.
Am I gonna like it?
He got back. Did they fix it?
He poops too to make it up to her.
She starts possible trigger warning: drug use. Okay, so boyfriend came home a day after I did. He called me before his flight and asked to come over to my apartment when he got back. I agreed. I needed a flipping explanation for their bizarre behavior before I could decide what to do in our relationship. He's been wonderful and respectful for 2 years, and then at that point, I decided I didn't want to see his friends again. They're unimportant to me. So he gets here, I let him in, and right away I see he is noticeably nervous and twitchy. He sits on my couch. I sit separately on my recliner. He blurts out, "Are we over?" Depends on what you have to say, unless you want it to be over. He says no before I finish. Okay then, so I tell him to explain what the happened. So he and his genius friends took LSD and shrooms. Female friend took shrooms only. The guys were a mix of both with alcohol. My boyfriend said he took LSD only. I flipped a bit. Why the didn't he tell me? What if one of them had a really bad reaction or trip? Shouldn't the one person who didn't take drugs know they did to be able to keep them safe? I've done it and I wouldn't have judged them. He knew I'd tried it in college and had a bad time, like nightmare fuel bad. No real answer on that. It is his decision to take something like that, but I am more upset that they weren't really safe about it. That wasn't okay to admit that. He agreed that was a dumb decision. He said it's been about 6 years since they last tried it. Asked him to explain his asshole behavior the next morning then. He says he and guy friends didn't remember the reality of what happened, but shocker, female friend B did. The bitch that she is laughed when explaining it later that afternoon. The guys were horrified. Boyfriend is rethinking friendship with her. I said I never want to see her again. Not an ultimatum, just a fact. So once he knew he was embarrassed and didn't want to apologize over phone or text, so he came home early. He took the time to get his itinerary and thoughts sorted, he says. He asked for my side of it, and I just let him read my first post. It was too hard to say. He gave me a huge hug after, apologizing between forehead and cheek kisses. We agreed to work through it. I could practically smell his relief. He thought I was done with him. I did too before we talked and got an explanation. We set boundaries, no secrets, even if we think the other is going to be upset. Better to talk through things than have issues later. My main sticking point was that I didn't want that be in our lives. The fact that she acted that way when she was mostly sober and could recant the entire thing while laughing is unacceptable. I don't know what kind of personality trait or disorder makes that possible, but I don't give a f***. She's disgusting.
I diagnose her as a pick-me.
Ding, 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 ding. No.
He understood and messaged the guys in front of me. He told them I was giving him a second chance, and he explained what happened. They asked if they could FaceTime us later to apologize. We said yes, but without B. They understood and agreed. Their apologies later that night were all very sweet and genuine. Boyfriend spoke with B a few days later and then blocked her, all while beside me. These last couple of months, he has really stepped up and shown me how important I am to him and how much he loves me. We've both upheld our side of the boundary of no secrets. It's actually been awesome to just talk through any issues, feelings, etc. We were great before this bizarre incident, but things are strangely better now. I wouldn't have thought that when I wrote my first post, we were talking about moving in with one another next year. B did try to reach out several times, but more so after my post was on TikTok. She was screaming that I needed to take it down. It's not like anybody has any idea who she is in real life, for f***'s sake, the drama. Boyfriend's friend group has all shut her out since the trip. Apparently, she's always had an excuse about why a new girlfriend of theirs didn't like her or misheard her. She's created more issues than they realized during their 14-year friendship. My boyfriend knows I have no issues with him having friends of any gender, but agrees we don't need her stereotypical female best friend behavior in our lives. I don't know if she has feelings for any of them or just likes their attention, but whatever it is, no longer my problem. I don't know if this is the update you hoped for or if you are all rooting for boyfriend to get dumped hard, but please know I'm genuinely happy with my outcome. Thanks for taking our own crazy trip with my story and update. Had to make light of it. You all have been wonderfully sweet and supportive. It was incredibly appreciated. Wow.
Yeah, I'm okay. So I don't feel so bad about my stance. They worked it out. I felt like they could.
I mean, sure. I guess I didn't predict that this was happening.
I didn't.
I went with her assumption of 4 beers, I don't. To be fair, I don't know a ton about like what LSD and shrooms. How much that would affect your mental state where this situation would be handled. I can't speak to that.
Yeah, there's some serious dumbassery there. I don't know why you wouldn't.
I definitely do not like that they all took it and didn't.
So that's what I was going to say.
That's like crazy to me.
This doesn't absolve anything for me because there's a couple things that are majorly wrong with this. One, she did not consent to being in a room with a bunch of people who were on a little bit more hallucinogenic and heavy drugs. I'm not one to judge drug use. Do what you got to do safely, but this is. That's a lot to deal with. To be the only sober person in that scenario, that's a lot.
It's a big responsibility.
It's a huge responsibility.
Yeah. And if someone actually does get hurt and you've got to call medical authorities, it's like, what's going on? It's just like, I guess he fell down. They would need to know that. And thing number 2 is the fact that all of those friends together decided to do that and he just didn't tell the girlfriend. It says a lot about the relationship to me. It's like she's a problem or a wet blanket or it's going to be a fun thing for we to do, but don't tell Bethica or it's just
super
there's
weird.
So much wrong with it there. Yeah. And the fact that he's like, he apologized and gave me a forehead kiss. I'm like, yuck, gross. I want to recoil at that. This is not even. I'm glad she's happy. I really am. And I'm trusting this adult to know what is best for herself. But it still doesn't sound safe. And just because that other girl was a huge problematic influence on these people doesn't mean they didn't still engage in this behavior time and time again. They're like, yeah, it's the typical female jealous best friend. It's like, okay, sure, she's rough. But 4 people got puppeted by that, I guess at best.
So we got some comments here. Oh man. Someone said, good luck wasting your years with him. Damn.
I mean, kind of.
Someone else said, so your partner got high with his buddies without cluing you in, mortifyingly embarrassed you, and pinned it all on a girl. Sounds like a charming group of guys. Yeah. Someone else said, OP, I've been on shrooms and LSD, and let me tell you, it doesn't wipe your memory. They all knew what happened. You especially remember when you are laughing hysterically and making a big deal about something. Nah, he and his friends ain't it. The last comment we have here is, this is literally an insane update. There is nothing in this world that would make me forgive anyone who interacted with me like that. Do you have difficult family members who you were often forced to forgive in order to live peacefully?
Damn.
If so, analyze if this is just that behavior being repeated. Being alone would be better than being with a man who so deeply disrespected you. Yeah, I also want to point out, in the original post, even after all of this, before this update, she still was like, I don't know, I love him, but I do not like his reaction to all this. So she still that wasn't the end of the line before she found out about all this drug use and everything. I do think I don't know. I tend to kind of side with these comments. And yes, she is an adult. She's allowed to make her own decisions.
Yeah.
She has every right to go about this as she wants. But I mean, I agree with you that there's a lot to this. The original post was in March. The update is in July. So she's been saying for months things have felt way better. Maybe this is a very shitty thing to say. I am skeptical of what her idea of like, things are great.
Sure.
I'm just like, man, like, I don't know. But we only have this story to go off of.
Yeah.
But it seems like all the comments are skeptical on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think, our relationship advice tends to lean towards everyone saying, dump his ass.
Yeah.
And most of the time, like, a lot of the times these stories involve some form of abuse, in which case I'm all for being like, that's abuse, that's an abuser, cut him out.
Yeah.
This, I'm like, this is a really shitty situation. This was extremely disrespectful. I think you can learn from something like that. And I think you can grow from something like that. To me, and this is obviously not my life, but I think it's something you can grow from and grow past.
I have a thought on that because I think it is very valid to like talk about wanting to learn from mistakes and grow. Like I think not just on, this format, but like societally in general, when we hear something rough, we're just like, that's it, done. So I understand that there probably should be a path for redemption in a lot of cases, unless someone's safety is concerned.
Yeah.
I think though what that requires is accountability. And you would have to look at this situation and be like, what was actually wrong with this at its core? And I think that was a lot of what we were saying about like the disrespect that came from like not telling someone, yada, yada, yada. And it seems like the resolution of this was like, he's gonna be nicer and he's not hanging out with that mean girl anymore. Mm-hmm. He won't do drugs again. As opposed to like, no, you made the active choice to really mess with me and like put me in a very dangerous situation. Like that would have to be addressed and you'd have to grow from that. And if that ends up happening, great.
Because she doesn't list any like examples, but she just keeps saying like, we've had full honesty for months. They say this girl had been their friends for 14 years, so I'm assuming these are high school friends. So the excuse that I could see some people saying is like, they're falling into old high school habits.
Uh-huh.
I still
boys club.
Yeah, and one girl. I think all I can say is if I was in this situation, it would be less about like, oh, you're bad and I need to dump you because you suck, and more that I'd just be like, I don't know if I can recover from this. Like, I don't know if I can mentally.
Yeah.
Now that's me saying my own personal reaction to these things. And also like the under the influence excuse is, I just don't buy it. And like, look, these people in the comments, like I said, I don't have personal experience, but a lot of people are saying like, hey, look, I've done shrooms and LSD and you don't forget things. Like he's lying to you. If he's saying you guys have full honesty and he's lying about that still, then he's lying about you guys being on this full honesty kick right now. Right. And that's, at the very least, I would say to her, I'd be like, at least, you guys are saying you have full honesty, but if something happens now, if something happens again, you need to walk.
He's on notice.
Yeah,
that's for sure. Oh yeah, I mean he's got to do a lot of work to get to regain trust.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that's crazy.
That's a wild
bonkers.
He sounds like a dumbass. Like
he
really does sound stupid.
Yeah,
he does sound very stupid.
He just sounds like a dumbass.
There are definitely
not
a lot
that I'm
of
excusing his behavior, but he's a dumbass.
There are a lot of stories we read where it's like, okay, is their assholery exceeding their stupidity? Like which one is which one is leading the charge?
This is stupid.
There's like that philosophical theorem about like you should never assume malice when I think it's like ignorance or stupidity can like serve just as well. But then there's the addendum to that of like at a certain point, stupidity is indistinguishable from malice.
Yeah.
It's like, you might just be stupid, but you're still messing things up.
At a certain point, it also doesn't matter. Like, you're just like, this is someone that you're supposed to be relying on.
Yeah.
And that's scary.
That's somehow worse. It's like, oh, you're too stupid for me to have you be by my side.
All right, our next story. Am I the asshole if I break up with my fiance after she showed a startling change of behavior after getting engaged? This is a 32-year-old man. I just recently proposed to my girlfriend of 2 years, Sharon, who's 30 years old, like a month and a half ago, and it feels like the second the ring got on her finger, her attitude and behavior took a total 180. The entire time we were dating, we seemed exceptionally compatible, and at least it seemed we shared common beliefs and morals. 7 weeks ago, I proposed and she said yes, and I felt like it was the happiest moment for the two of us. But not even a week later, it's like her attitude totally flipped. I thought I knew all her friends, but one day I came home and there were 6 women I've never seen before, and Sharon introduced me to them. I was curious as to why I was just now meeting them when I already met Sharon's 2 best friends, Michelle and Octavia, both not present. Over a year and a half ago, Sharon said she wanted to make sure we were a sure thing before I met her inner circle. I found this strange, not to mention it was a weeknight and they were quickly draining my wine rack of wine. Sharon still had her own place, but she stayed with me so often she practically lived here. Still, I found it incredibly rude when they left with 4 empty bottles of rosé in their wake. I tried to talk to Sharon about having uninvited guests on weeknights, and she dismissed my grievance very flippantly. More than that, she brushed me off. The following week, she went out with the girls several times, and when she brought the girls to my place, twice without notice, once with notice to appease me, her words, they all treated me like a butler, shaking their empty wine glasses at me for refills. After the 4th time, I made it clear that I will get a locked wine rack. Sharon just called me no fun after that. It gets worse. Sharon decided me and the girls got off on the wrong foot and said we should have dinner together at a nice restaurant. Well, I went and it was not great. The 6 kept prodding me about my life, my house, my career, but deflected every question I asked. It got especially bad at night when they started talking about modern relationships and jealousy, and one of them brought up some key points about relationships that I thought Sharon and I were on the same page about, specifically what-ifs regarding polyamory and being friends with exes. To my shock, Sharon said we shouldn't be too hasty on such decisions, which was a total 180 to how she expressed herself on these things only a month prior, where she was vehemently against keeping ex-intimate partners in friends circles and was staunchly monogamous. The worst part was when the bill arrived. Sharon announced it should be together and slid me the check. I told her she can't be serious, and we got into a bit of an argument. I ended it by putting my amount down in cash and walked out, leaving them to figure out the rest of the bill. The next few days after that, Sharon kept calling me toxic and fragile, but every time I even pushed at it, she would give an apology and promise she was just stressed at work. It's nuts. We haven't even planned the wedding yet. The worst part was this Monday. When at work, I got a Nest doorbell alert, checked and saw Sharon and one of her 6 new friends arriving at my place, going in and exiting with my golf clubs. This set was a gift from my father, and it cost a pretty penny too. So Sharon lending it out without my permission got me pissed. I told her the club's cost would move it into a serious crime, and she and her friend had an hour to return them or the cops would be called. Sharon kept insisting she got my permission, and I told her to cut the crap. Well, not 45 minutes later, I got another notification of Sharon and her friend coming back with the clubs and going inside, leaving them. Sharon's friend flipping off the Nest doorbell on the way out. I got home and saw Sharon's friend literally just threw the clubs and bag on the living room floor. Sharon tried to talk to me about my toxicity again, and I told her again to cut the crap. I said if I knew this was how she was, I would have never proposed. That seemed to freak her out, and she again insisted that she was stressed from work, but I wasn't buying it anymore. I told her to return the ring and her key, and we would talk about our relationship this weekend. She cried and begged me to not cancel the engagement, and insisted that it was just stress. I told her again, we will talk about it this weekend. She finally relented. I had my house rekeyed anyway after she left, just to be safe. Sharon has been texting me constant messages of love and apologies for getting swept up, and insisted she was only wanting to show me off to her close friends. I don't know, I'm just not buying it. The same close friends have been sending me texts daily, calling me toxic and fragile again, saying they knew I wasn't man enough for Sharon or secure enough to share her with friends. A few of my friends that knew Sharon the entire 2 years we were dating were surprised and can't believe she turned hide this quick, and that there must be something missing, or that I am leaving something out. They say I must have said something to trigger her friends to act like this, and I had to have been the asshole somewhere along the process. I don't know, it's a lot to take from all directions right now. What the frick?
Is that the end of that one?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Dude.
That is, ugh.
What a shift.
I have sort of personal experience with something similar to this, where an ex and I kind of made like one of those leaps in a relationship. We made it was kind of like moving in together. And I saw a big change then. And in hindsight, my interpretation was like, it's kind of like one of those fear moments where you're like, oh shit, is this what my life, like, am I ready for this in my life, whatever. And you kind of like sabotage your life. I think this sounds to me a little like self-sabotage, or maybe not, but it just, maybe she got scared that she's engaged in trying, I don't know. I truly don't know. This is weird.
I mean, it's super common, and you get to see bits of it in a lot of those reality shows that are so obsessive with marriage, like The Ultimatum and Love is Blind and stuff, where like marriage is this like pinnacle, like this is the thing, and it matters so much, like, and it can cause a change in perspective, I think, for a person where suddenly they got to be thinking about all this stuff, and I think, you know, it sounds so abrupt, and like when the friends come over and they're like treating him like a butler, like I've seen that before, and I think sometimes the group mentality can kind of get a little overbearing, and it can really kind of objectify and put the fiance in like an uncomfortable position that he's like, because I've seen partners be like, oh yeah, I'm down to like help you guys, I'm down to be like your butler for your girls' night and stuff, but but it doesn't sync up at all with what she's saying. Where she's like, I just wanted to show you off to my friends, while she's also, no, I'm seeing if you're worthy. Like, you shouldn't have said yes if you weren't sure he was worthy.
Right. Yeah, this feels like you're like you're doing things you should have done before.
Yeah, like this would all...
You should have never done most of this, but...
It sounds like they were on the same page in a lot of ways. I wonder if they had a marriage talk or an engagement discussion ahead of this, because I feel like would have, I don't know, it sounds like they didn't.
And they also don't live together. And so it's like, this is their first big leap. Like from one thing, you know, because often for couples, moving in together is like the first big leap. And then it's proposal and stuff.
Being with someone for 2 years and not knowing about 6 people that like exist in a significant way in their life.
I would lose my mind.
Like, how does that happen? How do you keep 6 people away from someone? Like, that just seems insane.
That's enough. I think there's several moments, and I don't say these types of things lightly. Like, I think it's communication's important, and like not just being like, I'm done, whatever. But there's several things that happened in this where I'm like, yeah, that'd probably be enough to take the ring back. One is, here's my inner circle I've never introduced you to. I'd be like, do you have your own Illuminati?
Yeah.
Like, oh my God.
Like, so you don't trust me, or like, I also think it's weird, like, I think it's important for you to introduce people to your friends, even just as the relationship is getting more serious, long before the engagement. It's weird that she's separated all her women friends from her boyfriend, and then treating him a certain way, taking his stuff. It just feels like she's really, like, putting him down a lot. Like,
oh yeah, she's treating him like shit. And another one that I think is an immediate pull back that ring is, he's like, we had discussions about monogamy and polyamory, and suddenly at dinner she's kind of sounding different. She's going, well, I don't want to be hasty on those decisions. Like, well, then we shouldn't get married if we have different views on marriage.
Yeah.
Like, that's a big thing that you need to be in like agreement on. Suddenly she's like, well, I don't know.
It almost feels like, because I definitely, you know, I've had those times in my life where I have like friends that I act a certain way around, you know, friends that I'm stupider around, that I'm dumber around. And like, I don't know, maybe it's a very just like extreme case of she's like, I have this group of friends that, and this is like my wild side or whatever, that like, she was like, I genuinely don't know if you would want to be with me if you knew that side of my life. And then as soon as she got the ring on, she's like, okay, I can finally like have that part of my life now be introduced to you.
Yeah.
Because she thought it was, you know, set in stone.
That's very likely just that, I mean, she held back on so much of who she was.
And that's why I think they didn't have the engagement discussion, because I feel like if they were like gonna be like, okay, so like this is it, like this is us, like we want to be together, and so maybe this will happen sometime, and that's when you think
the proposal was like a complete surprise to her.
Like, yeah, I feel like it sounds like they were like on paper very compatible, had similar morals, so he's like, yeah, like I'll propose to her. And yeah, I was literally gonna say the same thing. I think it's a big red flag when I'm like dating somebody and they are so different with just me, than with their friends.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I think it's okay when you because I have different. I'm a Gemini. I'm a freaking chameleon. I have different like demeanors around different people. But to have like different fundamental like moral values depending on who you're around is big red flag.
So much can change depending on who you're hanging out with. I think we see that a lot, even in Smosh. Like depending on who's in videos, you get such a different vibe.
Yeah.
But your level of respect should stay the same. If and it's a red flag to me that it's like, oh, well, around some people, you're just gonna suddenly treat me like shit. It's like, then we're not doing this because I don't know what's gonna happen now.
And it sounds like he tried to set that boundary and have that discussion a few times with her.
And I don't love that she's just like, oh, I'm stressed at work. It's like, that's not an excuse. Like, I'm stressed at work, so sorry I stole your golf clubs and then threw them on the ground. What?
At first, I thought I was like, "Oh no, he doesn't realize like the like bridesmaid stuff is starting to happen." But like, he's like, "No, we haven't even started planning the wedding yet." And that's a
Yeah. Interesting. There's also the possibility that she knew or was hesitant because she knew how terrible her friends are and was afraid to introduce them to him. But
you you and your partner are a freaking team, and you tell that to them, be like, "Hey, I don't know about my friends." Like, if you're willing to marry your friends, if you want to be closer to them than your literal life partner that you're about to legally be bound to, you need, that's what's so great about having a partner like that is you guys ride together and you be honest about that stuff. And so, that would suck if that was the case.
some comments. Not the asshole. You said you had met two of her friends, Michelle and Octavia, previously. Have they had anything to say about this flipped behavior or the 6 strangers that materialized? Opie said, I did message Michelle on Facebook last night. I asked her about the 6, and she told me that her, Octavia, and Sharon are cousins and grew up together. Michelle said that she didn't really care for the 6, but didn't say much else.
The 6?
The
ridiculous 6!
The sinister 6.
It's the ridiculous 6.
2 years, and she didn't introduce you to these friends. She knows how terrible they are and how terrible she is with them. She put on quite a show to get the ring, and now that she thought she had you locked down, she can show her true colors. Unless you are leaving out something, you are definitely not the asshole. You are not toxic or fragile. You have standards. What she did at the restaurant and with the clubs is toxic. It seems like she wants to show them she has you wrapped around her finger and that you will allow her and them to do whatever they want. I wouldn't give her another chance to use you for what you can do or give to her. No one that loves you would treat you like this, friends or no friends present. Tell her you're too stressed from work to talk about your relationship right now. It sounds like this is a toxic group of frenemies she has that constantly try to one-up each other, and I bet that this group of friends has been the end of all previous relationships, so she learned to keep them hidden. Mm-hmm. They're all good theories. I mean, to me, it kind of doesn't matter. Like, the reasoning behind it is one thing, but the act is there. Yeah. And if you're willing to treat your partner with that much disrespect.
Yeah, and I get it. Like, when you have friends that you've been friends with for a long, long time, you're going to trust them more than maybe your partner that you've not been with as long as you've known your friends. I feel like I've seen it a lot, and we've read stories like this on the show where, like, marriage is where people think that they can settle down and be their real self, or then start to test boundaries and see, like, you know, like, there's just so many relationships where it's like there's just a series of just testing your boundaries and seeing what they're able to get away with, and that a lot of cases it is self-sabotage where it's like, I don't know if I'm worthy of this, so I need to just literally again push boundaries with what I believe are my issues, you know?
Yeah. Look, and peer pressure is a real big thing. It's super impactful. She's 30 though, and like, as if this guy's right, this comment of like, oh, it's probably been the end of all of her previous relationships, like this group of gross friends. Even her cousins are like, yeah, we're not fans of those people.
Yeah, wow.
Like, I feel like your 20s, like the difference between your early 20s and late 20s for me was like you kind of drift away from the people you realize are not influencing you in a good way or are pushing you towards making bad decisions or disrespecting you and pushing you to be disrespectful, because that's going to cause you to be lonely. It's going to make your life toxic. She's 30 years old. She's too old to be like being influenced on that level, like is my view. And And disrespect is a choice. I mean, I get it, you're stressed from work, but you're making decisions.
Yeah, and regardless of her age, it's like how long they've been together and stuff, like what their trust that they've built with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah.
It's hard because they're just existing in an echo chamber now of like
Those
all
friends,
of them.
yeah.
They're talking about things and they're just affirming the same things.
It's
they're
a
saying,
it's a real
you're
It's
danger.
so right.
that group mentality, yeah.
Yeah, group polarization is such a real thing where like in a group of like-minded individuals, a small belief can become a big belief. And you can all believe it. And you go, yeah, no, this is what he should be doing.
Yeah.
And this is how he should be treating you. It's like, yeah, and it's like it's easy and it kind of like spirals upward to this insane thing.
Yeah, like maybe the second she told those friends, they were like, then they started kind of asking all these questions like, well, is he willing to do this? Well, it's about this. Well, you're going to have to do this. You're going to have to test him with this and this. And then all these friends are like, and when it's 6 people that you really trust all having that opinion, you want to just trust what they're saying.
Yeah.
I don't think that makes her like the victim in this situation. I think it's just a like,
No, it's a real thing that happens, but she
Yeah.
still disrespected him.
yeah.
Update. Sharon's been gone now for an hour. Breakup is official. I have the ring back. I did talk to Michelle via Facebook, and Michelle said her and Octavia were cousins of Sharon, and Michelle also said she knew the 6 and didn't care for them. Michelle didn't say much more than that. I did meet Sharon's parents, and they both seemed to like me, and the topic of Michelle and Octavia never came up around them. None of our finances were intermingled yet, but it was planned for later this month, which won't happen. I invited 3 of our mutual friends, Casey, John, and Mike, to be here when Sharon got here. Sharon showed up and was surprised to see we had company. I said they were here for both of our sakes. Sharon wanted to phone 3 of the 6 to come over to even things out.
To fight.
And I refused. And I used the club theft as a reason. Sharon sat on the couch very dramatically and then asked if I really wanted to make this public. I outright asked why she changed so much after the engagement and why she hid the existence of the 6. Sharon then went in again about how she insulates her inner circle until a partner is vetted. I called BS. I met her parents. What's more inner circle than your parents? Sharon tried to deflect, but I wouldn't have it. I pointed out how for the last month, her friends dropping by cost me nearly $500 in wine, which she, by the way, made no attempts to reimburse. I also pointed out her trying to make me pay an 8-person dinner bill without asking me first. She again said she wanted to show how great of a guy I was and how she clearly misjudged me and was disappointed in my attitude. I then asked about the clubs. She tried gaslighting with, "You totally said it was okay, remember?" And I kept saying bullshit. Mike piped in, he knew the clubs were a gift from my dad and I was highly protective of them. He too called BS, and that's when Sharon turned her attention to Mike and John, saying, "Isn't he getting forgetful lately? Don't you remember when he forgot that one date and neither was buying it?" I finally said that forget postponing the wedding or canceling the engagement. The entire relationship is going to end if she isn't going to be straight with me. Sharon made a very long, exaggerated sigh. She took the ring off and dropped it on the coffee table. She got up to leave and said, "You're never going to find someone as good as me," and to send her stuff to her apartment. She left, and Casey, John, and Mike were totally stunned. All I could say was, "Believe me now?" We ordered pizza and are waiting for it to arrive now. I am still utterly shocked and confused by Sharon's attitude. I'm sure the heartbreak will come next, but right now, I'm just kind of numb.
Oof.
Well, I mean, if everything that he wrote is to be believed, then yeah, her personality flipped.
There's a 180.
A complete 180. I've heard about these things happening, like personality flips, and they always kind of baffle me. This is when I'm really curious in the comments what people's theories are, because to me this just feels like cartoonish.
Yeah.
I mean, we've read Reddit stories on here where like a guy, like they get married and suddenly he just starts being the complete opposite. And it truly is about like locking somebody down.
They're suddenly comfortable.
And it's like suddenly, no, you're my trad wife now, like hardcore.
It's hard for me to grasp because I've just never thought that way. Like I've never thought the way of like, oh, we're in now, I can do whatever. Like, I don't know, I guess, but I'm a very anxious person. I'm a person who feels like I'm always, I'm a people pleaser, so that type of behavior is just foreign to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could see the side of like getting a bunch of your friends. He said mutual friends, but getting some of your friends and surprising them with a breakup. I'm curious what people think. I don't think that was necessary. It felt like the answer was to break up with her already. But
Yeah, when
I
you're
think
feeling uncomfortable and you want support, and he got support that he actually needed, I think that's
Yeah.
good. I think she was within her rights to have somebody with her, but I'm just like, literally, a brawl is going to happen. Let's be careful here.
And also at the start, he was saying that his friends were going like, he must have said something. They were having a hard time believing it. They were like, yeah, you must have done something along the way. Because at the end, he's like, are you believing me now?
Right.
So he did feel gaslighted, so he went about it this way. Either way, it sounds like.
I do know if I had walked into an apartment to like someone that I was, like a guy I was having a fight with, and he had 2 other dudes with him, I'd be like, oh no, I'm out. Like, that's just scary.
But yeah, I mean, she was surprising him with 6 of her friends.
True, in his home, and that's a lot of wine.
Yeah, I mean, if you're getting to a point in a relationship where you are throwing volleys back and forth of like, well, I'm going to do this now, it's over. But so I think it's at the end of the day, it's good they broke up. Also.
Of course.
Oh my God, shocking. Like I said, I'm so curious what the people in the comments think is the reason for this personality flip, because it blows my mind.
No, I mean, I do, there is like one instance in my life where I know somebody personally who had an insane personality flip, like honestly this, but maybe like 5 times bigger, like that level. And so like it's happened before, and it is, we still don't like have an explanation for it. I still don't, like, sometimes you just don't know.
It's
like
really
things
scary.
can just change.
Yeah.
And yeah, it is scary, but sometimes that's just how it happens.
Yeah, it's never gonna be that I can say I've experienced similar, and it's just like, okay, it's not gonna be easy, especially when you're really close with somebody and suddenly it's like, oh, I think we have different views now. Like, yeah, I can relate to that.